interesting storyline. I wouldn't say that Baylor beating Texas Tech was much of an upset. That was a pretty even matchup. But when you see an 8 seed upset the 1 seed, the team that's hosting this tournament, that's quite a big storyline. That's going to make some shockwaves. But, you know, BYU, they were not your typical 8 seed that you see going into a tournament, and they made that known by beating TCU and knocking them out.
Kansas in the red and West Virginia in the white. But in talking to the coaches in this league, one of the key themes has been just how well this league has played as a whole. And as we enter this tournament, it is likely that every single team that made this tournament, and maybe even some that didn't, will make the NCAA tournament as well. And that hasn't been able to be said every single year in the Big 12. I
know we've had several discussions with coaches leading to the tournament, and several of them have said just how competitive the Big 12 conference is becoming. Teams are just getting better and better. It's getting more even across the board as far as talent. And I know that we have to limit it to 8 teams in the tournament, but really many of the teams could have made it to this point. And even the 8 that we're seeing here showcased, any one of them could win any given day.
As Dorian pointed out on the first game of the day, it went down to the final day of the regular season with 6 different teams having an opportunity to claim that final seed to get into the tournament. And BYU had to win to get in. They did so against Utah, their arch rival. And then they knock off TCU. So you've got to be watching out, no matter who you are coming into this tournament. But West Virginia knows that all too well. Last season, as the number 3 seed, they were the first really top-seeded team to get knocked off by Kansas on their march to the championship. Last year, they not only won their first round game, but then in the quarters, they beat the number 3 seed. The semis, they beat the 2 seed. They knocked off TCU, the 1 seed, to win it all. Teams can get hot this time of year. Almost, you know, it's almost inexplicable why.
I know, and that's the thing. It's whoever has the momentum in the moment. It's not always the best team winning, but like we said, all these teams can be the best team any given day. And we know that we've seen teams that come into a tournament that are on a hot streak. They tend to be more favorable this time of year.
A little bit about these 2 squads. Kansas has been a little more streaky than West Virginia has this season. I mean, make no mistake, they are a very good team. They started out the season 7-0-2, and they hit that rough stretch in the middle of conference season when Coach Lee went up against all the Texas teams, the Texas Tech, the TCU, and also Baylor. Lost 3 of 4, and Coach Lee was hopping mad, a little bit like that. And his team turned it around, though, made some changes defensively, went on a 5-game unbeaten streak to solidify their spot in this tournament before falling to Colorado to wrap up the conference season. And meanwhile, on the other side for West Virginia, as you get a look at Brandon Gardner, who is our central official in this one, a very good official that you'll see in games all over the Southwest. It will be a throw-in for West Virginia. West Virginia is a team that is riding a 15-game unbeaten streak. And when you talk to Nikki Izzo-Brown, she almost didn't even want to talk about it at this point in the season. She said, yeah, we'll worry about that later. It's a great deal. Haven't lost in forever, sure. But that really doesn't matter when it comes to tournament time, and especially NCAA tournament time.
It's certainly nice to have that momentum going in, but really the most important game is the one that you're currently in. It's not really time to reflect back and think about all the fond memories you had along the way. You don't really have those moments until you're holding a trophy at the end of it. And so I think that's the right mentality. History is not going to help you win the game here today in the moment. And so it's good to have a short-term memory when it comes to those type of things.
So neither of these teams even remember the tie that they had 2 weeks ago because of short-term memory. Well, maybe Castens with a nice feed inside looking for Wimes, but she gets denied, and turning on the ball to get it out of there is Anna Howard. We'll watch that midfield matchup between West Virginia and Kansas today. Mountaineers trying to get a breakout and doing so left to right. A little bit of wind in their face as it's intercepted by the Jayhawks to bring it down the far flank. Wind blowing right to left across the field at about 8 miles an hour. 66 degrees, just a beautiful evening here at Garvey Rosenthal Soccer Stadium.
And you really couldn't ask for better conditions. TCU, it's a great place to hold a tournament, a fantastic, beautiful pitch, nice flat surface, great grass, and again, a cool 66 degrees. That's a typical fall day here in Texas. And so I'm sure both of these teams, coming from colder states, they're going to take a nice 66 here in Texas if they can get it.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They've both played in conditions worse than this during the regular season. And it looks like it's going to be a nice week overall here in Texas for the tournament. Another opportunity right through the middle, getting downhill on the play. Grigorski trying to feed it down low, but it gets intercepted. And West Virginia, that back line that has been so stingy this season, giving up less than 0.8 goals per game, able to deny as Olivia Page steps through defenders to bring it up the field with a nice long pass. Centrally to Anna Hauer. Hauer going box to box, ripping it in. Great weight on that ball and feeds it just out in front. A little touch on it from West Virginia's Abby Alexa. And the first save of the game made by Sophie Daw.
And a tremendous effort here by Hauer. She's taking the space that Kansas is giving them, hits that through ball for Alexa to run onto. Alexa not able to have the wheels to get to the end of it. Tries to get a touch, but not much of a clean shot on that one.
It's a 2-2 game. The last time the two teams met, that was at Kansas. There was an own goal to start things out, but it was really created by West Virginia. If you go back and watch the game, Taylor White centering a ball in, and it deflected off a defender and in. Certainly a ball put in a dangerous spot. It wasn't the typical own goal that you might expect if you saw one on the box score. So it's certainly a dangerous moment for West Virginia, and it turned into a goal. They also ripped a bomb from outside, and Alexis Ray, her first goal of the season, tied it up just before the end of the first half. Kansas scored a couple times in the first half as well, and the teams went scoreless in the second half on their way to that 2-2 draw on the 16th of October.
I know when it came to that first matchup just a few weeks ago, it really was an explosive start. 4 goals in the first half, neither team taking their time to get into the game.
Gianna Koss goes to White, a centering feed, and it just tripped up. Another drive by Anna Hauer toward the back post, and it's tipped away and out. West Virginia with an excellent buildup and a couple opportunities at the goal.
And it looks similar to the first game. They find Taylor White out wide, who hits that cross in. And then Hauer's able to clean it up to get a shot. Daw with the diving save, gets a glove on it to pat it outside. You get a second look here, trying to curl it to that back post. Daw showing off her athleticism to make the save.
Anjane Respass, 2 goals on the season, was the intended recipient there. Again, Hauer, a gritty technical player, a transfer from Memphis, on for the corner kick. Low liner toward the near post, kept alive at the near post, but kicked into clearance by Kansas.
And we're going to see in this game, it's going to be a battle of the boxes on both ends. Both teams, they like to throw it into the box, create havoc, and so you have to be sharp offensively to get the redirections, try to get something on frame, get to the end of those crosses, but defensively, you have to keep it organized, knowing that that ball is going to be sailing into your box at any moment.
There's a look at Kansas's outstanding keeper, the 5'11", redshirt sophomore out of Memphis, Sophie Daw. Daw with as bright a future as any keeper that Nate Lee has been around. Of course, Kansas putting her in the pipes a season ago, and she was the most outstanding defensive player of the 2024 Big 12 tournament.
Right.
Lee had some great defensive teams at Xavier as well.
Yeah, and Daw, like you said, she got that award. She was the Big 12 all-tournament team. She stepped up huge to keep Kansas in it as the 6th seed last year, ended up winning it all and knocking off the top 3 seeds along the way. And you know that comes from good efforts from your goalkeeper to pull something like that off.
And that was in her redshirt freshman season, where she went with 2 shutouts during that tournament. 4-0, giving up just 2 goals Goals against of .49 and 11 saves in that tournament played in Kansas City, as Daw and the Kansas Jayhawks got it done as the 6th seed. This year they're the 7th seed. But to give an idea of, as there is a first foul in a advantageous position for Kansas, hands out to the side for Abby Alexa, who does not agree. But Kansas coming in is number 13 in the RPI, Laura, and West Virginia is number 12. Yeah, so you get an idea of just how capable these two squads are. There's not a lot of difference between the two. West Virginia, in the first committee meeting, ended up as a top 10 team. Kansas was not listed in that respect. Caroline Castens, she's from just down the road in Flower Mound, about 30 minutes away. Ready to use that magic wand of a left foot to get things going for the Jayhawks. Serves it to the top of the 18, bounces all the way through. A long run. And kicked away in clearance by Roxanne Villan. Villan, the transfer from Portland in her 2nd year since coming over from the Pilots. Kansas looking to cycle it, but it is taken away. This might be a chance. Tried to spring White, but backtracking pretty nicely for Kansas. To get back on it is Livy Moore, and that stops the advancement for the Mountaineers. Anytime Taylor White is out behind the defense, your heart skips a beat if you're Kansas. And so that was a good job there by Moore, making sure that she's tracking back, sticking to her assignment as they had rest pass, trying to run in at the end of that. Little jostling for position, but it will be a goal kick. As the Jayhawks again, over and over again, look to run after the byline. In the 2-2 draw against West Virginia, Kansas was able to play their way into 11 corners in that matchup. And one struck the pot of gold, and here comes the big-time pressure from Kansas and a takeaway. The through ball just out in front of the intended recipient, as it was just a little strong for Lexi Watts. She's also trying to stay onside, but the Jayhawks, they're one of the highest pressure teams in the nation, and that one almost resulted in a wonderful chance. And that was a pretty bold move to go short to Ingleton. I mean, Ingleton, she is one of those center backs. She's one of the best when it comes to dribbling out the back and creating havoc, trying to get an offensive pressure going. But Lexi Watts was just reading her like a book, closing down on her, and that's what you love to see out of your forwards. Your forwards really should be your first line of defense, and so it's good to see that Watts is sticking to that and trying to put pressure on the back line of WVU. They're a back line. They don't make many mistakes, and so you have to apply the pressure as much as you can. Sometimes teams try to grow into a game or figure out, all right, how are we going to try to play through each other? It doesn't seem like these two teams are trying to do that. They've been trading blows and trying to, really go for the haymaker early on with some of the long passes and also the pressure that's been applied as well. And that was something I noticed the first time they played each other earlier in the season, was just how physical they were going at each other. And then right from the jump, they're not going to be timid to build their way into the game. They're going to be hot from the start. And out wide, here comes the service all the way across. Nobody there at the back post for Kansas. But Gregorski able to run it down, send it over, dropping it off for Livy Moore. And the right wing back skies it over the top of the keeper's goal, Bailey Herford. And you like to see the back line get involved as much as they can. It starts with Lexi Watts, a great service, just no one there at the end of the back post until Gregorski's able to run onto it. But that's what Kansas is going to try to continually do. They want to attack the flanks, send those crosses in to see if they can pull apart the back line of the Mountaineers and open up channels of opportunity. So West Virginia called for a foul right there at midfield. Lexi Watts, last couple times, she's been the one to churn up space down that left wing. And she's the player that Nate Lee, the head coach of Kansas, says can really change the game on the dribble. So watch for number 18 when she has the ball at her feet for the ladies in red.
She is the game changer. So much of the offense goes through her, even though she is at the outside right there. She's so good on the 1v1. She's fast. She's crafty on the ball, has a lot of pace to her, and she's just fluid in the way that she plays.
Lexi Watts was also the player that put away the game-winning goal in overtime last year against West Virginia in the 1-0 win. It was a long punt up the field from Sophie Daw. A header by Sage Wimes. Watts got in behind, slid it past the West Virginia keeper to give Kansas that stunning victory on their way to 4 straight and eventually a Big 12 title a season ago.
Right, Lexi Watts, she was just one of the 4 players for Kansas who made the Big 12 tournament team. Lexi Watts alongside her teammates Sophie Daw, Olivia Page, Caroline Castens, and for the Jayhawks, one of their strengths going into the year, they had 15 returners, 7 of which were their starters. And so that's a great start a season, having a lot of familiarity, knowing you don't have to rebuild too much with new players, either freshmen or transfers coming into the portal. They could just build from what they had, a great slate from last year, and try to improve from there.
Brandy Gardner stopping play, wants to talk to Anjanae Respass for West Virginia, and here's why.
And we knew that going into this, it was going to be physical. I think he's getting on to her, coming in from behind. I like she's trying to go strong in for the tackle, but you have to be mindful of how much you're throwing your body into it. You can't be too careless, and at least along the way want to get a touch on the ball.
Respass, one of the bigger forwards you're going to see, Laura, at 6 feet tall, and she is not slight either.
No, and the thing about her is she's tall, she's got size to her, but she's also fast, so you can hit that through ball to her. And with her size, it's great. You can either hit the through ball, she can run onto it, or she can play at her feet, hold the ball, and while people are coming to her trying to double team her, that's going to leave her teammates open. And so if she can dish the ball and find a supporting cast around her, that's going to help the Mountaineers generate a good offense.
So after the foul on Respass, no card, by the way. West Virginia has only been issued 8 yellow cards all season, no red. So they're one of the more lightly penalized teams in the conference.
And I think what that says is when they're going in for tackles, they're doing it in a smart way, because the Mountaineers, they're big, they're physical, they're strong, and so they're not going to shy away from those 50-50s. Oftentimes they win them, and so it's good if they're not getting yellow cards and fouls along the way.
Ingleton on the restart from way out top. That second ball won by Kansas out to midfield, and Wimes trying to turn it around for the Jayhawks. Jayhawks receiving votes in the top 25 poll right now as Wimes takes it away. West Virginia, see, ranked number 19 in the nation right now, but the numbers beside their names reflect the seeding coming into the tournament. West Virginia the number 2 seed, and Kansas the number 7 seed this time around. But just getting here to Fort Worth, that was the struggle for most teams this season. Even if you were a good team, it was not a foregone conclusion. You really had to play well to get into this tournament to begin with.
And it really came down to the last game for most of these teams, not even if they're going to make it or not, but to determine what seed would they be. It was that tight in conference play this season.
Libby Moore with a little bit of a heavy touch, wasn't able to wind up on it. Abby Alexa getting back defensively, was able to sweep it away for a throw-in by Kansas, and the first substitution as well tonight for the Jayhawks. They go into the bench and get Olivia Page back into the match. She did come out momentarily after taking that little knock. They wanted to check her out after she and Anjanae Respass ended up colliding. Ball to the top of the 6, headed back out. Roxanne Villan at 5'11", the best player in the air that West Virginia has. Another ball in the direction of Taylor White. See that the Mountaineers want to get out on the counter. They've tried it a couple times.
That's what they like to do. They want to catch their opponents on their heels, see how quickly they can get the ball into the attacking third. They're a team, they want to play fast and see if they can create those channels, get those through balls, and just be physical along the way.
Now, Taylor White, normally a player that lines up along the right wing. Tonight, they've thrown her along the left wing over and over again. And so, while neither coach thought coming into the match, you know, here's what we're going to do, and it's going to totally break down the opponent, there's that little chess match to try to get some kind of surprise advantage.
Right, when it comes to positioning and where you're putting players, it's all about the 1v1 battle. Where do you think you have the advantage?
A ball going out top, and again, Villain steers it away. Castens will be throwing it out in front all game. She's been responsible for more than 100 crosses this season. Instead, dumps it down for Watts. Watts trying to take the line, centers it out in front, and Herforth leans into it and smothers the ball before it can reach the back post, and the oncoming Jillian Grigorski.
And Herforth, she knows that she has to be proactive, not reactive when it comes to what Kansas is trying to throw their way. Watts again taking on that 1v1 out in the flank, sending the crosses in. And Herforth knowing that she's got to be active off of her line and be decisive, not stutter and when she's going to come off or when she's going to sit back. She's really got to be bold in her decisions.
So let's talk about Bailey Herforth taking over as the keeper this season. And she's been right there at the center of it for basically all of the 15-match unbeaten string for West Virginia. Her record is 12-0-3. She has yet to lose this season. And well offside here is Sage Wimes. A good idea, but she does turn it over. And Herforth, with the goals against average of .64 coming in, 9 shutouts already this season. She and, of course, the back line, a huge reason why the Mountaineers have been dominant lately.
She has the best goal against average in the conference. The 9 shutouts that you mentioned, she's only allowed 10 goals throughout the entire season of 18 matches. And she's been phenomenal back there. I mean, she's a loud vocal leader. I remember watching her against Kansas earlier in the season, and I heard her more than anybody throughout the entire broadcast, the way she was organizing her back line and, again, keeping it clean and tight in her defense.
You want to see some great goalkeeping. I think these last 2 matchups, you're going to see some great keepers because we've got maybe the best keeper in the conference, or at least she's been voted that way several times now, in Jordan Nidus for the Colorado Buffaloes later on tonight, and Genesis Perez-Watson for the UCF Knights, a young upstart keeper who has been marvelous this season as well. So if you want to see some great goalkeeping, I think this is where you're going to want to keep it this evening.
Right, there's so many good goalkeepers. We saw it with Baylor and Alvarez. She stepped up big time going against Texas Tech, and the storyline of BYU. Peterson coming up, having her first start and sending BYU into the semifinals. She had a great outing between the sticks here today.
Now this is a great chance for players to break out. Players that you haven't heard from much before, like a Peterson. And she steps up with the regular keeper for BYU, out with the season-ending injury, and stars, especially in the penalty kick opportunity right there at the end. And it has been thrilling moments so far here in Fort Worth. Kansas leaning in toward this goal on the left side, trying to get it to Castens again out wide. Brings it onto her right foot just to give her space on the left. And there's the cross. Once more, Villain able to steer it away. This time she finds Respass and a whole lot of traffic.
And Respass getting triple teamed there. The Jayhawks doing a good job to make sure they're double teaming, triple teaming, getting the turnovers that they want to get.
Holding up top, it's Watts going out wide. Wimes diving in, trying to cross it. It's deflected out. And Maddie Levy is on it for West Virginia.
And West Virginia, they have to be able to find ways to possess the ball and work their way out of the pressure that the Jayhawks are putting on them right now.
Again, the Jayhawks, this is what they do. According to First Team Analytics, their high recovery percentage, 99th percentile, so they're the top 1% in the country when it comes to the amount of times that they're able to recover the ball high up the field, and then their PPDA, or pass per defensive action. They're in the top 4% as well. So they are going to make it very difficult for you to get out of your own end. You got to have defenders who can not only defend, but they can also help you move the ball up the field as well.
And I like what they do. They want to make their presence known as early on as possible. Why would you allow players to have time on the ball and get something going? I know sometimes teams will kind of sit back and wait for their opponent to come to them, but no, the Kansas Jayhawks, they are very proactive in their defensive approach, and it all starts with their forwards.
We're also out shooting opponents in 17 of their 19 games this season. West Virginia will have an opportunity for a throw in on the offensive third. Substitution for both sides. Kansas will get Jocelyn Harema into the match as White tries to dive in for West Virginia. The Kansas back line eliminates the opportunity. Quickly switches it up near midfield to Lexi Watts. And again, active pressure look by Kansas. That's a good place to go with it. Naima Ingleton for West Virginia, probably one of the best center backs on the dribble in the conference.
That is one of her strengths. Even as a center back, she still finds ways to get herself involved in the attack. She's got great size. She's so strong. She's fast. And of course, when it comes to trying to track her, physicality is going to come along the way. You can't help but foul her. Sometimes it feels like that's the only way you're going to be able to stop her, is if you create a foul, as we just saw right there. Yeah,
Grigorski is the one that steps up, stops the advancement. But it is going to mean a set piece. Line to the top of the 18. First ball won by Kansas. Second ball is as well before it dribbles back out to center. Kansas absolutely stuck in early in this match. If you're West Virginia, are you just trying to kind of survive and let Kansas burn themselves out with this type of energy?
I don't think the Mountaineers are playing bad by any means, but they haven't been as connected as we typically see them. Usually they've been able to connect more passes at this point, but the Jayhawks just relentless in their pursuit to put on the pressure.
Coming off the line, Bailey Herforth is able to send it back out to midfield, but recovered immediately by the Jayhawks. Kansas trying to get on the front foot here in Fort Worth. Langfelder out top. Grigorski turning, firing, and just wide to the near post. Jillian Grigorski gives it a ride from about 25 yards out.
And a decent look here for the Jayhawks. She had the time on the ball, so she goes ahead and pulls the trigger. Grigorski able to get the power behind it, but off frame as it goes outside the post.
Libby Moore, the right wing back for Kansas, comes out after some good work. And on to the field is 5'4" freshman Lydia Viets from Edmond, Oklahoma, for the first time, making her 20th appearance this season. She has been a regular player in her freshman season for Nate Lee. Takeaway right at midfield. Here comes Maddie Levy up the right side. She finds White. White drives it into the side netting. White did not have a great angle, and she goes down hard as well. Has to peel herself up off the turf.
Mountaineers, this is why you want to try to dish the ball to White. She has that unstoppable speed. The Jayhawks, they close in on her. A tremendous effort there by Emily Tobin, tracking back to make sure that White can't get a good clean shot off. Instead, it hits the side netting. But I think that's one of the best attacks that we've seen from the Mountaineers so far. And every time that we see something good going on for them, White is involved.
White had been on that left side, this time moving back to her more traditional right side.
And I like that they go ahead, they do that. They put her on the right side, then they put her on the left side. The more versatile you can be, the more unpredictable you can be, the more successful.
So far, no scoring for either side here in Fort Worth. 17 minutes remaining in this opening half. Good job to break up the side by Kansas. They'll dump it back to Kaugish. Sending it out wide. Grigorski. Grigorski on the right foot, looking back post. It's shouldered away by West Virginia. And unable to hold it against that side wall is Lydia Viets for a West Virginia throw-in, but it just allows Kansas to get into their press.
And it's interesting what we're seeing from the Mountaineers. They know the game plan for Kansas is to attack at the flanks and utilize that space. And it seems like West Virginia is allowing them to do that. They're not really pressing them that much out wide, and instead they're kind of sitting back just to make sure that they're sticking to their defensive assignments centrally. They know the ball is going to make its way there, so it just seems like they're making sure they're going to be at the end of those crosses rather than applying the pressure out wide to deny the cross in the first place.
Some work there in Ingleton as it pounded away from her by Watts for a goal kick. Some space up the middle of the field for Roxanne Villan. But Nikki Izzo-Brown says, now, she's really my hero, Roxanne Villan. That's what she's been saying all season about the redshirt junior from Montreal. Player with international experience, 23 years old. And just a solid center back for West Virginia, and a big reason why that their defensive metrics have gone way up this season over last. Little battle along that flank, and will be a throw in for Lydia Viets. Viets with a couple assists on the season, one versus West Virginia, one versus Drake, playing 44 minutes a game in her freshman year. Takeaway by West Virginia. And a chance to continue to advance it. Trying for that vertical pass in, but again, it's sniped away. Good positioning by Caroline Castens for Kansas. Castens on that Herman Trophy watch list. Know how difficult it is to make that list. A good player on the offensive side, of course, but also does the job defensively from that left wing back spot.
And I think it's a great opportunity. Kasten, she's the local kid from Flower Mound, not too far away, went to Marcus High School, and so what a great opportunity to be back home. You know, she looks comfortable playing here, obviously on familiar grounds, and so you know that she's got to have a lot of friends and family up in the stands, and having a good time being able to take advantage of this opportunity and watch her play live.
No doubt about it. She was the Dallas Morning News Defensive Player of the Year for the area in her senior season, where Marcus won that 6A title, the highest distinction in high school soccer in Texas.
And you can tell that she carried that success from high school on to college. She has started every match of her career at Kansas, really moved into the college game seamlessly, made an immediate impact. Again, second in the conference right now in assists. So she's doing a great job for Kansas.
10 assists on the season. Came in with 101 crosses on the year. Averages 5 crosses a game. That is a ton. Good job to knock it to herself up this left side for Lexi Watts. Here she is again. Watts, so dangerous. Good touch to get around a defender. Shoves it toward the goal. It's saved. A secondary shot. It is in. Kansas strikes like lightning. Jocelyn Harema poaches after Lexi Watts creates, and the Jayhawks are on the board in Fort Worth.
Stick Sticking to traditional Jayhawk fashion, it's attack it at the flank, send it in. Lexi Watts doing just that. Harema there for the rebound. And talk about getting your first goal of the season in no better time than the conference tournament. Harema able to do just that, her first goal, and a great one at that to get her team up 1-0.
Harema, that vertical spark off the bench for the Jayhawks. Taking advantage of Lexi Watts. Eating up the space, up the sideline. And again, Harema, we have it as her goal, which would be her first of the season. As you mentioned, what a moment. Her other goal in her career came back in her freshman season against arch rival K-State. And now West Virginia is trying to strike right back after Kansas got on the board first here in Fort Worth. It's got to feel good for the Jayhawks. They're playing, working to perfection so far, really hitting West Virginia with their speed early.
In the momentum, it really has been more on Kansas's side here in this first half, so not surprised to see they are knocking on the door first, able to punch one in and coming with a lead. But you know the Mountaineers, they're not going to sit back and take it. They're going to come back with a response.
So Jocelyn Harema has been announced as the goal scorer in the 33rd minute to put Kansas up. Now Castens once more. She'll try to get to the line, but is denied by Kaylin Effa, freshman. It's the Gatorade Player of the Year for the DC area in 2024. Castens with the throw in, the ball out top, a race for it, and eventually taking over, but called for the foul as well. West Virginia and Alicia Riggins, the sophomore forward, who's also from here in the North Texas region, can't believe it.
From Mansfield, just down the road, she goes in hard for the tackle. I love the tenacity behind it, and I know it was a hard shove there, but I think it's shoulder to shoulder. I could see that one letting it play out.
Brandy Garter would not do so, and instead, a restart here for Kansas. Kawagish standing over it. The transfer from NC State. And a little discussion here for West Virginia in the sideline.
And I can understand why the coaches might have a little something to say about that, but obviously it was something that crossed the line and referee deemed it was worthy of a yellow card.
Tyler Sma picking it up. So they'll get it right to Castens, driving it in, looking for the far post. And enough time to go grab it is Bailey Herforth. However, Kansas continuing to pour on the pressure.
I like Kansas's idea to go ahead, play it short and out wide, trying to see if they can shift the Mountaineers a little bit to create more space and get a shot on frame, which they were able to do just that. Castens nailed that one in, but pretty direct there and an easy save for someone like Herforth.
Jocelyn Harema's goal. Able to put the Jayhawks out in front after Lexi Watts really created it. Just a big old rebound, and Harema right there on the doorstep had no problem with it. Again, this Kansas team pretty enthused with the way they have started here. Wasn't a perfect end to the regular season with that loss to a great Colorado team right at the end of the regular season. And Nate Lee really wanting to challenge his team to come out, be on the front foot, do what we did last year, bring our own energy, and they have done so far.
I think it's been a great response to end the regular season on a loss and come out the way that they've been playing. And who knows, maybe that loss gave them a chip on their shoulder going into the tournament, wanting to prove themselves just that much more.
If nothing else, something to coach to as well. West Virginia, dangerous team in their own right. More known for their defense than their offense. Little physical play. A return pass out wide. It's the Jayhawks out in space. Centering feed, and that is whipped away by Ingleton. She's able to find Olivia Schertzer. Mountain here has survived that cross in.
And I know Ingleton, she makes it look easy, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Ingleton running back towards her goal, able to whip her body away to get the clearance. That's not as easy as it looks.
Herforth having given up a rare goal. Goals against average of .64 coming in, taking a little bit of a hit. Offside flag is up on the Jayhawks. Seven minutes remaining in the opening half. Third game of the day. First two games both went into double overtime and eventually penalty kicks. Baylor winning the opener over arch rival Texas Tech. Meanwhile, for second game, it was the 8th seed BYU taking down homestanding TCU after they went to penalties. Anything can happen in the Big 12 tournament. Millen challenged, eventually does give it away. And a good tackle to swipe it by West Virginia as Ava Arnold, the freshman, has really done a marvelous job at one of those holding mid spots for West Virginia this year. Gets in there to take it away right in the middle of the field. A couple more substitutions for Kansas. Merritt McLaughlin is on at a midfield spot as Amika Kawagish gets a little bit of a rest. Kawagish playing her 78th career game between her time at Kansas and her time at NC State as a member of the Wolfpack. This one deep into the corner, very close to being a corner kick. Eventually it is going to be a deep throw in for Kansas.
A little bit, so there's not a huge gap. Tailgate, back up. Don't bring that extra defender. You can go. Hit it.
This ball back into the box and shouldering off a defender. Obvious foul on Faith Johnston, the 5'8" freshman out of Baton Rouge, commits the foul.
Get the ball first. None of this. Just go get it.
If you're the Jayhawks and if you're Nate Lee, how pleased are you with how this first half has gone and the way you've been able to execute against an incredibly good defensive team in the Mountaineers?
Well, I know we're going to hear from him in a moment at halftime when we get a chance to talk to him, but you couldn't ask for a better start. Not only are you up 1-0 in the game, but you're really commanding how the game is going. They've been able to make their presence known defensively. They've created several offensive chances, and they seem to be controlling the tempo as well as the lead.
There's no doubt about that. It's more pressure. Leaning in. Able to take it away once more. Right there at the top of the box. It's Becca Smith. Now guided back along the wing for Viets. Viets, the centering feed. It's at the feet of Faith Johnston. She's just not able to turn on it. Castens keeps it alive, though. The Jayhawks will cycle back through. Castens looking for more with 3.5 left in the half. Good job to get the clearance by just attacking the ball for Naima Ingleton. Mountaineers looking for something positive going in toward the half. Maybe another chance. Maybe an opportunity to put a seed of doubt in Kansas's mind. But it's really amazing how Kansas walks that line of being so ultra aggressive with their forwards and able to press while at the same time not breaking down on the back end.
And I think that's all starting and happening because their forwards are defending so well. The defense, it's starting with the forwards to the midfield. And so the back line for Kansas really hasn't had to face much. They have their teammates in front of them really sticking to their assignments and doing well.
Well, Nikki Izzo-Brown, she's been here just a time or two before. 17-5-3 all-time in the Big 12 tournament. That is an outstanding record. You think about the teams you have to go up against to have a record like that. However, the last two opening games, whether they be in the first round or the quarterfinals, depending on how it was seeded and set up, Mountaineers have dropped those games.
And her winning record, it goes well beyond the Big 12. She has over 410 wins in her career.
Sounds
a phenomenal
pretty good.
Coach. Right, she's made 23 trips to the NCAA tournament in the last 25 years.
Cross, not down. It'll be a corner. And she's about to make it 24 as well out of the last 26, as West Virginia is an absolute shoo-in, if not a top 16 seed for this year.
I know her resume is so long and extensive. I'm going to get interrupted all game trying to read through it. But 18 conference titles, 28 winning seasons in the 30th season that she's had with WVU. Fantastic resume.
Castens toward the back post. It glances off the head of Alicia Riggins on the backside and harmlessly away. And she's the only soccer coach that West Virginia's ever had.
1 minute remaining in the first half.
A minute left in the first half. Herford puts that boot into it for West Virginia. Kansas getting to that second ball once more, and the ball popped over the head of Faith Johnson, and trying to reach it, Roxanne Villan is able to attack the ball first. He straddles the line, it never went out. So Sophie Daw, for a rare time, is going to get involved in the action coming off of her line for Kansas. Quick attack up the wing again. Long pass and in. Shot! Just a little bit wide. My goodness, Jocelyn Harema had a chance at a first half brace.
And it's unbelievable what Harema has been able to do so far in the tournament. Didn't score all season, notched one in, and looked like she was about to have a second goal there.
Looked like a great feed from Lydia Viets up that right side and placed it perfectly. Kansas, such a quick team. Let's see how this transpired.
And I love that even with just a couple seconds left in the game, the Jayhawks, they're going to keep going at you. They're going to take advantage of any second they get. Just a few inches out wide, a phenomenal. They have to know going into this second half that the Jayhawks, they're not going to take their foot off the pedal. If anything, they're going to push down harder to try to come through with another upset, just like they upset West Virginia last year.
Only 2 losses all season for West Virginia. One to then number 14 Penn State. That was on August 21st. That was the last time that West Virginia did not win or tie. And they also lost to a ranked Virginia squad as well. 1-0 to open up the regular season. But it's been a 15-game unbeaten string for Kansas, or for West Virginia, I should say. And these Kansas Jayhawks not worried about that whatsoever, as they have been able to really apply their pressure to West Virginia through the first half of this match. John Little, Laura Sadler, the whole crew here in Fort Worth. And once again, the Jayhawks making it very difficult for the Mountaineers to bring it out of their own end. This time it's Olivia Schertzer, who does a lot of the work herself, draws 2 defenders and tries to get it up the sideline to Levy before it is dispatched back in the direction of Roxanne Villa.
And this is what I'm talking about. The Mountaineers, they have to move off of the ball faster and quicker. Schertzer was going down the line, couldn't really find a teammate who was open.
And now a little possession in the final third. And just losing it out of play is Gianna Koss. Koss has entered the starting lineup at right back in the last couple games for J.C. Race. Race not starting this game, apparently not available. Been a great winger in the attack. And on this distribution, it's just too strong and easily taken away by Livy Moore. Moore gives it up top to Gregorski. Onto her left foot, Gregorski still carrying inside, tripped up, and we have a penalty just outside the area. It is going to be a foul, not a penalty, excuse me. It is just outside the area, inside the arc, but just barely outside the 18, Laura.
And this will give us another look at the play to see where was she fouled. It does look like it was right outside the box. I don't think it's necessary for Kansas to try to challenge this. But Coach Lee calling the referee over, wanting to have a conversation and at least talk about it.
And Gregorski attracting 5 different defenders there. Gardner is going to go ahead and take a look at it and make sure that on his angle, he got the call right. But at least at first glance, we believe he did.
I think he got it right, but when it comes down to big moments like this, when there's a lot at stake, you want to make sure that the decisions that you're making, they're weighted, so you have to make sure you're right. And I think a good look for the referee. Go ahead, take a second look. He didn't get the look that we did, but he will here soon on the replay.
Now, if it is a foul just outside the area, let's take a look first.
And it's phenomenal that it took 3 Mountaineers to finally slow down the run of Gregorski. But the referee, we can hear he says that it's clearly outside the box, and so the Jayhawks, although it's not a penalty kick, it's still a really dangerous look for them to try to capitalize.
You can see where well, really both benches along the sideline, it would be very difficult for them to ascertain whether or not it was in the box from the shallow depth at where they're watching it from. We've got the added look of the eye in the sky, if you will.
And that's the thing, these plays are happening so fast and there's a lot to watch in the moment. And so what a good rule that they implemented, putting the replay in, allowing that to be a part of the college game. It certainly has affected a lot of games because of that, and for some teams in good ways, other ones not so much.
All right, Laura, this is as close as you can get to the 18 without it being inside. What is West Virginia thinking about, and what is Kansas thinking about in this moment?
West Virginia, get as many people as you can into the wall. Looks like they're doing just that. They got 5 players in there.
It's Moore on the right, Gregorski on the left. Gregorski, who created this right into the wall, and then chips it back into the air, almost as if she was looking for service. And the wall does its job, a goal kick for West Virginia.
Well done for West Virginia to stay tight on that wall and not flinch as that ball comes pelting their way. And not only doing a good job as a wall, but making sure that they're collapsing on the rebound, and they did a good job. It threw Gregorski off, who was not able to get a second clean shot off.
Second ball won by Kansas. Gregorski tracking back for it, but West Virginia able to win it, and Maddie Levy eating up a bunch of room, trying to cut it back, but has it stripped away. Now Livy Moore will start her advancement for Kansas.
And again, the Mountaineers are just not moving off the ball like they typically do. We saw them on the run, and all eyes are on Levy as she's making her way up the field. But my question is, where my eyes go, or what are the players around her doing? And none of them were separating themselves away from their defenders to be open. to receive a pass from her.
Emeka Kawagish trying to dump it down deep. And again, Kansas cycling through that pressure. This time West Virginia able to elude it, and all the way out toward midfield, Taylor White holding it up. Now the Mountaineers will try to get something going on the offensive side of things. They do have 5 shots in this match. 2 of them have been on goal, but neither of the shots on goal felt threatening at the time. Great tackle by Livy Moore to strip it away. And now Moore with speed, trying to slot it across, but stepping right in front. It's a nice play by Villain. Oh, this ball almost made its way through to Lexi Watts, but steered away toward the sideline by Ingleton.
And I'm not quite sure how Gregorski managed to get that ball through going down. She gets a boot on it for the through ball. Great fight that we've been seeing from Gregorski all game, but especially here in this second half.
These Jayhawks look determined, and as if they've brought that fight that helped them get on the board in the first half to the second half as well. There's not a lot of consistent, connected passes through the middle third for West Virginia in this one.
And it's interesting, it's not the style of play that we usually see from West Virginia. We typically see the outside backs involved in the attack, getting up, taking on those 1v1 battles, trying to get crosses in, and it's been kind of quiet for them back there.
Now, J.C. Race is one of those players that's been key in that overload action for West Virginia this season, but she's not available in this one, and you wonder if that has anything to do with the lack of offensive potency, the ability to attack in this one for the Mountaineers. That would normally be her side up that right wing. That one's just a little too far for Taylor White.
I would say that they are missing J.C. Race. She's a player, even as a right back, you're going to see her up and down the field the entire game. That's exactly what she was doing against Kansas earlier in the season when they saw each other just not even 3 weeks ago. Ray, she was able to win those 1v1s, get crosses in, and as a defender, she had an offensive presence as well.
Nikki Izzo-Brown identifying her as one of the most improved players both ways for her team this season, and very key in how great they've been defensively this year as well. One of the best defensive teams in the Big 12. Even when it seems like West Virginia has a little space, it's gobbled up quickly. Gregorski looking for that through ball in the direction of Wimes, but held off by a very large center back in Roxanne Villain, who is able to get her body between Wimes and the ball.
Wimes, she has the speed and the ability to get behind defenses. We saw her with that diagonal run and trying to get the through ball to her, but just too much weight behind that.
7 minutes gone in the second half. The goal came in the 33rd. It was a dunk for Jocelyn Herema. And now Kansas right back after it. Gregorski goes out wide to Lexi Watts. Has Wimes inside the box. Watts unable to get clean service off. That doesn't mean that Kansas is going to stop going after the ball. That really just triggers their pressure, and eventually a foul is called against Kansas.
And that's usually what it takes to stop a player like Inglewood from dribbling out of the back, triple teaming her, as we saw Kansas do there. And I said it in the first half, if you're going to stop Ingleton, it usually has to require a foul, and we're seeing it here again.
Yeah, just terrific on the dribble, as you said. And defensively, great positional awareness as well for the 5'3" center back for the Mountaineers. One of the shorter center backs that you're going to see, but still really effective in that pairing of Ingleton at 5'3" and Villain at 5'11". They've been masterful this season for West Virginia.
And it's funny that you're saying she's 5'3", because when I watch her as a player, I would never have thought that she was that short, because she's so strong and physical, and not many players get behind her. So while she might be short, she's stout and she's strong.
Height is just a number. A lot of pressure by number 4 in red, Sage Wimes. That's how she gets herself going. Distribution there for West Virginia as Herforth goes up the sideline, but again, a connection between Koss and the midfield, and Levy is just a little bit off in this one. Kansas head coach Nate Lee thought, you know, we are a good team between the 18s. We need to be better in the finishing aspect of things. They've been great between the 18s in this one. Lexi Watts again with an opportunity. Now with a step, crosses it in front, and it is off the bar. Weems got there, and the post denies the goal for the Jayhawks. Wimes has been so close this season, and very close to her 4th goal of the year. Another cross to the top of the 6, headed along, knocked down by Watts, drives it in, saved, and now Wimes on the rebound sails it over the top of the bar. A couple great opportunities for Sage Wimes. Could have made it a 2-goal margin. And
you were hoping that Wimes was going to finish her first opportunity right here. She goes inside the foot. But Kansas, they're still throwing the ball into the box. Wimes again off the deflection here. Gets the volley, but it's over the crossbar. Not able to keep her body over the ball to get it on frame.
And Wimes has felt a little bit snake bit this season. She had 5 goals last year. Stuck on 3 this season. Has had a lot of opportunities. Make no mistake, Nate Lee hasn't been disappointed in her production or effort this season. I think Sage Wimes has just been a little bit deflated by the ball finding the woodwork over and over again this season.
She's been a little quieter than you would expect as far as the statistics. Has just 3 goals on the season, but that in no way determines how productive that she has been as an offensive player. But it just seems like she's knocking on the door, and the floodgates are going to open for her soon, because she's creating good chances for herself, setting herself up well, getting in good positions to be able to finish. Unfortunately, just being stopped right now by West Virginia.
Gianna Koss was able to gobble up some real estate down that right wing, and then West Virginia takes it right back. Chance, ball at the feet of Taylor White, but on her turn, just loses it out. That's where she can be so dangerous, is you think you've got a body on her 1v1, and if she's able to make that quick turn, she could be gone in a flash.
I know that's one thing that you can't coach is speed, and she's just got the natural talent and ability to turn on you and then turn on the Jets. And speed, it's one of the hardest things to defend in soccer.
While Taylor White, 1v1, may be the fastest player on the field in this one, the Jayhawks, at least tonight, have seemed to have had the better portion of the speed as a team this evening. Wimes out wide. Speaking of a speedy player, trying to make it to the byline, but just out in front of her, and Olivia Schertzer able to get the ball to trickle over the goal line.
Great defending there by Schertzer, knowing that Wimes, she's a player who's got some wheels. You can't let her get behind you, and so she uses her body well to get in front of Wimes and just shield the ball all the way to roll over the end line for a goal kick.
Schertzer, a full-time starter for the 2nd season in a row. Smart two-way fullback for Nikki Izzo-Brown's team.
And Schertzer, she
long
started.
Ball. Taylor White trying to turn on it, but racing back to find that ball is Castens. I thought White had a chance there for just a moment.
And that's the thing with West Virginia. You never know when they're going to just counter on you and put themselves back into this game. I know right now it seems like Kansas is controlling the tempo, but the Mountaineers, they know how to counter and get themselves back into matches.
As threatening as Kansas has been, it's still a one-goal game here. See Wimes, way up the field. Wimes is able to get the deflection. She's offside, trying to get back on. It's off the upper 90. What a great chance for Watts. And somehow West Virginia is living on the right side, because it could easily be 3-0 right now.
And the only reason that Lexi Watts has an opportunity to take that shot is because of the relentless pursuit that we saw from Sage Wimes, willing to go ahead, pressure the keeper.
Vertical ball just out in front. It splits the offensive players, but Alexa is able to take it over, and then getting stuck in on the slide tackle, Kansas's Olivia Page, as it dribbles in on goal.
West Virginia trying to counter, but this right here is what almost gave Kansas another look at getting a second goal. Wimes blocking the clearance there for Lexi Watts to get a great shot off the crossbar. Again, it's coming down to a game of inches here, where the inches have not been in favor so far for Kansas in the shots that they're taking.
Kansas winning the second ball quickly. Here's Wimes driving from distance, and it holds up just a little bit and twirls into the arms of the keeper, Herforth. But Wimes has been one of the better players on the field in this one, even if the ball's not going in the goal.
And you can see Wimes, she's hungry. She wants a goal for herself, and she's willing to even test the keeper from range in order to try to get that.
Coach Nate Lee says she just creates a lot of chaos. Speaking of chaos, Jocelyn Herema had the first half poach off Lexi Watts' drive. A big rebound off of Herforth, and Herema was in perfect position to put it home.
And that's what I love about the tournament. Anything can happen, and it's Herema, who hasn't scored a goal all season, who ends up stepping up for the Jayhawks and get them a 1-0 lead.
Say Wimes is hungry. She's out wide now on the dribble, feeding it back. Castens, so good at this, crossing it in. But a one-touch back out to the corner, and just getting rid of it is Gianna Koss for a Kansas throw-in. There's the goal scorer coming back in, Jocelyn Herema, out of Candalonia, Michigan.
And what I love about her, she hasn't started a game all season, but she has played in every game. She's a great presence that comes off of the bench. She brings a spark to the Jayhawks, and that's what you need out of the depth from your team. You need to accept your role knowing that you're a player that's going to come off the bench, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's too much of an emphasis sometimes on the starting 11, and we lose track of how important it is. Your bench can come in and not only keep the level of play high, but at times elevate it, and that's exactly what we've seen from Herema.
You want to be hard to play, and it's going to be handling on Kawakish. You want to be hard to play against for 90 minutes, and that means your subs have to come in and equal the level of ability of your starters, if even in short spurts.
And I think sometimes it's hard for players to accept that. You want to always be a part of the starting 11, but the players that come off of your bench, they are so key to be able to play that full 90 minutes that you talked about.
And especially in tournament action, where these teams are going to have to turn around and play on one-day rest just a couple days from now on Wednesday, if they make it through. So you're going to need more than just 11, I guarantee you that.
Right. These games are basically back-to-back for the entire week, and that's on top of an 18-plus game season. At this point in the year, a lot of times you're dealing with injuries and fatigued players, and so this is where your depth gets tested.
Kansas does not look fatigued, sliding in toward the goal. Watts' shot is denied. Gregorski is there, feeding it back out in front. Deflection by Herema is trickling wide. And a clearance for West Virginia after yet another opportunity for the Jayhawks.
What a save there by Herforth. Stretching out.
Long ball, Taylor White holding it up, trying to pivot and turn. She's going to bounce it back and just misses the joining Anjane Respass. And Respass will be booked here for going over the back of Emeka Kawagish.
Not surprised to see the physicality. It is increasing. Again, just a tough knock there by Respass. Not getting any of the ball, and instead it's all body. And so I think the yellow card is rightfully distributed. But look at the save here from her Firth to be able to get the outstretched arms out, patted away. Fantastic efforts from the Jayhawks. First from Lexi Watts. And then we've been saying her name this entire second half, Grigorski. She has been a lot to handle for West Virginia, making her presence known up those central channels in the offense.
Second on the team in goals with 8 this season for Kansas, and she's been close to breaking through with another as Harema is unable to hold it along that right side wall. 26 minutes and change left. Mountaineers going into the bench, and they're looking for some subs to make a difference. Lexi Watts comes out for Kansas after some excellent work. There's Layla Thompson coming in at a midfield spot for West Virginia, along with Alicia Riggins as well. Despite how tilted the game has felt in Kansas's favor, Mountaineers are still just one strike away, as will be Alexis Ray, who scored against Kansas the first time the two teams matched up. He was called for a foul here.
And we know that West Virginia, they can counter at any moment, but they have not recorded a single shot so far in this second half. They're still at the 5 shots that they got in the first half and haven't been able to tally anymore.
Now over on the left side of the field is Harema, tiptoeing the line, taking on 2. Ball doesn't go anywhere. Kasten's all the way back across, headed out. And it's going to fall outside to Felstad, or rather to Tobin. She'll move it back to Felstad. As the Jayhawks will have a little bit of an opportunity to possess. Page eats up some space before she runs in to Taylor White. Kasten's on the Herman Trophy watch list, the best player in America. She'll get a little deeper throw in here. Jayhawks haven't really tried to get a long throw into the box. Instead, looking for the post-up play, it gets past Harema. And Alicia Riggins able to backtrack on it, send it up the field, but only as far as Emily Tobin. Ball for Johnston. Johnston knocks it up top, held up, shot in and saved. Haley Herfurth is there again.
And even as the ball is bouncing into the box, still able to get a decent volley. And you never know when you're taking shots who it's going to deflect off of and be redirected. And even on the volley there, it took a ricochet off a West Virginia defender. But her Firth doing a good job reading all the redirections to make the snack.
Give the shot to Mackenzie Hammondtree, who is wearing number 37 today. Hammondtree normally number 25. Fourth-year redshirt junior, making her 10th appearance of the season. The shots and the shots on goal well in favor of Kansas tonight. The Jayhawks, who ran through the tournament a season ago, winning 4 games to win the championship. They're going to get a corner here after this turn by Harema. trying to start their march again. Last year it was from the 6th seed. This year they're trying to do it from the 7th seed.
And sometimes teams, they just know how to turn it around when it comes to the tournament. And that just might be Kansas. They might be the tournament type of team. They come in time and time again as one of the quote-unquote lower seeds, but they're playing like a 1 seed right now.
There's a service by Caston, so good at this. Oh, it was a tough one to handle. It was right there underneath the bar, Laura, and Herforth had no choice but just to knock it out.
And Herforth knows that Castain's left foot, it's lethal. She has the ability to curl it in, as we saw it right there, and that very easily could have been another goal for Kansas had not a keeper like Herforth been in between the sticks.
Caston's again going near post this time, but just hitting it. 21.5 left. Nate Lee has to like what he has seen. He told us at the half he thought his team was a little tentative starting the game, but once they started to find their way in this match, they really have not let up in this game, Laura.
No, and he really knows how to lead his team, not only in a season, but especially when it comes into a tournament. Just his 2nd season with the Jayhawks, but in his 1st season, he became the first Big 12 head coach to win the Big 12 tournament in his 1st year.
Amazing.
So a historic start.
This ball buried deep in the corner, and just too far of a run for Thompson on the play. Yeah, you got a matchup of 2 coaches. One that is a little younger in his career, in his 9th season, and then Nikki Izzo-Brown in her 30th year, but equally adept for sure. 428 wins overall in the career of Nikki Izzo-Brown, and as you mentioned earlier, 415 of those coming for the Mountaineers. For the Jayhawks, are you concerned at this point that you haven't been able to double the lead when you've had so many opportunities?
Not necessarily, because they are playing so well. They're in complete control of the game right now, but the scary thing is you're still only up 1-0, and that's not a comfortable lead whatsoever. So while you are playing well, you don't want to hang your hat on that. This game's not over until the final whistle blows, and West Virginia, they have fought back when they've been in a deficit to Kansas before. They were down 2-1 against them earlier in the year. And Mountaineers, they were able to tie it up, and that's where the game ended, tied 2-2 just in October.
One of the areas where the Mountaineers have been superior this year metrically is in the air, but West Virginia has not been able to get to the end line much. They only have 1 corner opportunity in this game. Is that a place where, if you're Coach Izzo-Brown and the rest of the Mountaineer faithful, where you're hoping to get a couple more set pieces as this game goes on, as this one is missed, whiffed on momentarily, and then cleared away? A nervous moment there, but is that a possible way back in this match?
I think that is where they typically play their best. They certainly have the size to them to win those 50-50s, but they haven't been able to get up the field to really do that. This game has primarily been on their defensive end, and so the Mountaineers, they have to find a way to be able to get forward, whether that's connecting passes and moving cohesively as a team up the field, or trying to hit long balls to run onto it.
First match between these 2 squads ended in a 2-2 tie. It was the only time this season that West Virginia scored 2 goals and did not win. They're 12-0-1 in that scenario. They've been so good defensively, you know, and most teams are. 2 goals normally gets it done. It didn't in Lawrence this season. Pair of 37s going at it here. Ball into the corner. The cross is applied, but a little bit shallow. Good chance there for Gianna Koss to try to turn on that one. Just could not quite get behind it.
And hopefully that will be the momentum to try to get something going. I like Koss. She's trying to send it into the box, just not able to get her hips around that. All the momentum was running forward, and she wasn't able to go across body.
Kansas able to win that second ball once more. And Alexis Ray running after it. You can be the taller team, you can be the bigger team, but if you're quicker to the ball, like Kansas has been, it may not matter. Here's another crossing shot eventually, this time lofted in the air by Lydia Viets and eliminated easily by Bailey Herforth. Nobody there back post to apply pressure for Kansas. To get into that desperation time here for West Virginia with 16 minutes left. Ball into the box, coming off of her line and getting decked is Sophie Daw. And a player goes down hard for West Virginia, bouncing in headlong after that ball.
And this is what you have to do down 1-0 in a match with so much at stake. You throw everything that you have into it. Kaylin Effa doing just that. A hard hit, but she's able to get back on her feet and show up for her team.
Now Effa, for that effort, picks up a yellow card. That's 3 yellow cards in this match for the Mountaineers, a team that only had 8 coming into the match. 2 of them have been on players in the field, 1 on a coach. Every ball so big in the midfield right now between these 2 teams, with it just being a 1-goal match. We've already seen 2 games today go the distance and go to PKs. Will this one end in regulation, or will the Mountaineers be able to come up with something as Ingleton starts this overlapping run all the way into space, out wide to Effa, tries to cross it in, and it's off the body of Olivia Page for a throw. And some fresh troops onto the field for West Virginia.
West Virginia trying to put on some fresh legs onto the pitch. 4 substitutions to try to get something going, and I think a good move, change it up a little bit. If what you've been doing hasn't been working, throw some other players in there and see what they can do.
And after some good work by largely reserves, White is back in along with Respass and others. This ball cleared away by Olivia Page. White trying to track it down, but too many red jerseys in the middle of the field. And White's all over the place, trying to pressure the ball. And eventually overtaken by the Jayhawks as Tobin plays it along the ground and up the right side. But in an offside position, the Jayhawks were as that pass made its way toward Becca Smith. It's Jay Norris who is assisting Brandon Gardner. Tiffany Turpin is on the other sideline. Rashawn Clark is our alternate as well tonight. Here's looking for this deep throw. Able to leap back onto the ball. Jayhawks Herema, who has the goal in this match. Wide space for Johnston. Out to Viets. Is she on? She is. Throws it inside. A deflection and a goal. The flag stays down. And Viets hits the foot of her teammate, Kate Langenfelder. One of the most underrated players in the conference. Helps Kansas go up 2-0.
And when you give Kansas time and space on the ball to utilize the acreage, that's what they're going to do. Viets out wide, gets her head up. A perfect cross there for Langfelder to finish, where it's just an easy touch. That's all you need to to be able to put it into the back of the net and give yourself a 2-0 lead.
The Jayhawks had been lurking, and finally they strike the second goal of the season for Kate Langfelder.
And it all happened, the Mountaineers giving them way too much time to play and create chances like we saw there. The Jayhawks, they were just able to run wherever they wanted. They had all the space that they wanted in front of them to take advantage of it, and that they did.
Lydia Viets coming off the bench and delivering her third assist of the season. Great cross right at the near post, right at the mouth of the goal. Kate Langfelder, Nate Lee calls her his skeleton key. She said, I don't know what that means, coach, but okay, whatever you say.
Does anyone know what that means is the question.
Yeah,
I don't know if I know what that means.
She can like do anything. She can unlock anything. You know.
Okay.
And so smart and tough and durable and selfless, and just a player that is so incredibly underrated for this squad. And you love to see players like that get rewarded with a goal. Johnston was onside. Johnston into the box, not able to get all of it, and it trickles in. She just got the top of the boot on it.
A great look by the freshman trying to get a goal of her own in this match. Winning the first 1v1 and then double team. Didn't win that second one, but I love the tenacity that the Jayhawks have. They're not going to sit back and just be comfortable with this 2-0 lead. They're still trying to go to goal.
Now Johnston trying to feed Tobin. Jayhawks have done a terrific job tonight. And here's Langfelder. Langfelder looking for that through ball. The original goal scorer, Harema, in there. Jayhawks just look so comfortable playing their game tonight. And their game, Lori, is to make the other team uncomfortable and unable to get in to what they want to do.
Right, they've been doing just that, and you can see some frustrations from West Virginia. We saw it there from Maya Leone. As she had the ball at her feet, she was trying to go forward, but had no one to pass to. Mountaineers, they're just not moving off of the ball well to get themselves open, and frustrations are building because of that.
Mountaineers coming in on that 15-game unbeaten streak. They have not lost since the 21st of August. Now, Nikki Izzo-Brown's team, their season is not done with a loss tonight. They'll make the NCAA tournament as this ball makes it into the heart at the 18. Running it down as rest pass. A partial clearance. Mountaineers trying to keep it deep. West Virginia would love to come back and force some extra time here in Fort Worth. If they can't, again, they'll make it on to the NCAA tournament. They'll be hosting. Will they have a first round bye? They're hoping so. Need to be one of those top 16 seeds. And they were number 9 at the last committee release. They're number 12 in the RPI coming in, and Kansas coming in as the number 13 team in the RPI. So while this is a 7-2 matchup in the Big 12, like we've been saying, it's a lot closer than that in reality.
And that's one thing that's good to know, that if you do get knocked out of the tournament, it doesn't mean that your season is completely over. And so that's why what you do in the preseason, it matters so much. What you do during the regular season of conference play, those games are huge to make sure that you finish the season as high as you can in the RPI rankings. You don't want to rely on the conference tournament to get you into the NCAA tournament. You have to be consistent all the way through.
Now, the Kansas Jayhawks were in a completely different situation last season. They were not in a position to make the NCAA tournament. They didn't have the resume. And so they pretty much needed to win the championship. They did that and ended up losing to the eventual College Cup runner-up, Wake Forest, as it's another steal and another opportunity for the Jayhawks. The cross for the goal ends up going off the top of the goal. Another opportunity there for Kansas, just peppering Bailey Herforth over and over again, and Jocelyn Harema doing it once more.
Harema with her third shot of the match so far, and her momentum not really going towards goal, but she still had a way to be able to hit that and try to chip it if she could over the keeper. Had a little bit too much underneath it, but a decent look.
Kansas, a team that normally outshoots their opponent. They're going to do it for the 18th time in 20 matches this season. See, the offside flag was up. Give the Jayhawks an opportunity with 9 minutes left. It's 2-0 lead.
And you talked about the Jayhawks. They're known to outshoot their opponents, and they have done that this year, outshooting people 310 to 145. And even on the corner statistic, they heavily outweigh their opponents in that as well. 127 on the year compared to 40. And we're seeing that play here today. Right now, the Jayhawks outshooting West Virginia 20-5. And then the Jayhawks 3 corners to West Virginia's 1.
Bailey Herforth has had to make 10 saves in this match. 12 shots have been on goal. So Jayhawks not just shooting from distance, these have been quality opportunities.
Right, out of the 20 shots, 12 of them have been on frame and have tested Herforth, who's done a great job on her line, making sure that she's reading the ball well.
And a frustrating night continues for West Virginia. Taylor White cannot believe she was the one called for a foul as she started to get entangled with Emily Tobin.
And we're going to take another look at the foul. Clearly, Taylor White frustrated. We've seen it several times. Her have a few words for the referee. Not happy with the way that he's been calling this game and not letting her play and lean into the physicality that she's used to playing with.
7.5 remaining. Caston just overshoots everyone. Caroline Castons has had a tremendous season for Kansas with her 10 assists. Hasn't factored into the scoring column today. Definitely been a factor up that left channel, you know, but it's been really coming up the right side a lot of the time tonight that has had given West Virginia trouble. Coming up, the final game of our quadruple header as number 6 seed UCF takes on the number 3 seed Colorado Buffaloes. All into the box. Livy Moore takes it toward the line, looking for the cross. Near post, not in the air, missed, and then right down to Kansas for the 3rd goal of the evening. It's Mackenzie Hammondtree, the 1st goal of her career. The cherry on top for the Jayhawks, who punched their ticket to the semifinals.
And talk about another player who hasn't scored all season, but she's able to go ahead and get one in. It starts with, again, going outside for the Jayhawks. They send it into the box, and it's just sloppy from the Mountaineers. Not able to get a good clearance, and when you're sloppy at a game like this, you're going to get punished. And, man, what a statement goal there from Hammondtree, getting her first one of the season and a goal that lifts her team up 3-0 in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, it's not the normal players for Kansas on the board like a Watts or Gregorski. Not that they haven't been fantastic in this match. Now it's been Jocelyn Harema scoring the 1st goal of the season for her. And it's been Langfelder, only the second goal of her season and her career. And then Mackenzie Hammondtree wrapping it up. And here's another opportunity, and it's goal number 4. Just a vertical ball, and it's in the back of the net. There's Lexi Watts getting on the board with her 3rd goal over 6 Big 12 tournament games. The Jayhawks pour it on.
But it all starts with Sage Wimes again, relentless in making sure that she puts on the pressure to set up her teammate Lexi Watts. And it's good to see Watts finally get rewarded for everything she's been doing throughout the match, making it look easy inside with a boot, places it into the back of the net. Just a fantastic finish. And if you're Coach Lee, you can see all the smiles right there. Not only are you getting good results from your starters, you're having players step up in the big moments. They're netting goals for you. And talk about a statement way to start the tournament. 4-0 on the 2nd seed, coming in as the 7th.
It looked like a carbon copy, quite frankly, of the game-winning goal in overtime last year for Kansas against West Virginia. Just a vertical ball over the top, a header by Wimes right into the feet of the incredibly quick Watts. The easy deposit. That time it was the golden goal to send Kansas past West Virginia and into the semifinals. This time, well, it's just the 4th goal of the night and the 3rd in the second half as the Jayhawks have finally seen the floodgates come wide open against West Virginia. If you're the Mountaineers, how do you shake this off? You've been so good all season, 15 straight, either wins or ties. I mean, you are a quality team. You're one of the best teams in the country. You didn't look like it tonight. How do you get back to that mentality for the NCAA postseason?
And that's the thing. If you're not going to win the tournament to go into the NCAA tournament on a winning note, you want to know that you're going into the tournament coming off a great performance and a great game. And unfortunately for West Virginia, that's just not what we've seen tonight. I don't know what it is or what's going on, but the Mountaineers, they're capable of so much more than this. They know it, everybody else knows it, and so for them, they just need to have that short-term memory from this, let this game go, rebuild, and bounce back as they try to make themselves a better competitor going into the NCAA tournament.
At the same time, what does it tell you about the state of the Big 12 right now? Not only this game, but what we've seen over the course of the day, where the lower-seeded teams have all come out on top.
Well, we heard it time and time again from several coaches across the conference as we were gearing up for the tournament. A lot of them saying that this is the most tightly competitive Big 12 tournament that they've seen. I know with Tom Stone with Texas Tech, I mean, he's been in the Big 12 for several years, over a decade. And in his experience, he said that this was the most competitive tournament he's seen. And it's just a true testament for the talent that the Big 12 produces. And any given day, any team can win, and we're seeing it here tonight.
It really is unbelievable what Kansas has put together in the Big 12 tournament over the course of the last few years. And for West Virginia, a team that had just been so masterful in this tournament over the seasons, Mountaineers will end up taking their 3rd straight loss in Big 12 tournament play. Prior to that, they had only lost 3 times all time in the Big 12 tournament, which is a head shaker. But maybe that's the parity that was not present as much before in this league, but certainly is there now. Chance to get a goal back for the Mountaineers on a set piece. Chip in, great, solid contact on the header, but it skies over the goal for Abby Alexa. And the clean sheet is intact for Sophie Daw. Our Kansas Jayhawks continue to play great defensively in front of her.
And you couldn't have asked for a better service and connection on the ball there. Abby Alexa able to run wide open into the box and get a good clean header. Just wasn't able to redirect it to put it on frame.
Gonna race back the other way. The Jayhawks have poured it on in the second half, leading 1-0 at the break. It seemed like they were so close to breaking through for that second goal over and over again, and when it finally happened, everything started tilting their way. Shots in the Jayhawks' favor, 22-6 tonight. That was the first shot in the second half, Laura, that header for West Virginia.
I know it's so unfortunate what we've seen from the Mountaineers. They're a team, they average over 14 shots per game, and so far the Jayhawks have limited them to just 6 and only 1 shot in the second half.
Little redemption for the Jayhawks, who probably felt like they let one get away. Anytime you give up an own goal, especially at home, you're thinking maybe you're a little bit snake bit in that 2-2 tie as White gets through. Deft dribbling inside the 18. It drifts out wide and blasts that wide as well. As the defense sent her into a position where she had a bad angle. But the Jayhawks, if they were looking for a little bit of revenge, they got it this evening.
They got the revenge, and you know there's going to be a lot of eyes on the Jayhawks, seeing not just how they were able to come into the tournament and not just win in the quarterfinals, but in dominant fashion.
Yeah, this was every bit of a 4-0 win tonight. They were not fortunate to get it. They forced it upon the number 2 seed, and number 19 team in the country, West Virginia. So the Kansas Jayhawks pick up one of their biggest wins of the season, taking down West Virginia 4-0. And again, the Big 12 tournament magic continues for the Jayhawks under Nate Lee.
What a great start for the Jayhawks. A consistent 90 minutes that he saw from his team. We saw the typical players like the Lexi Watts and the Sage Wime step up in big moments, but let's give it to the players off of the bench and score.